I'm Claire Dooley. You're watching CHD TV, and this is the Geoengineering Report, where we identify the threat in the skies. While media headlines are warning of crossing 1.5 degrees Celsius of warming in the next few years, the real data paints a far more urgent picture. In this segment, we unpack how climate statistics have been manipulated and why the truth is being buried. Our expert Dane reveals why we've likely already surpassed 3.5 degrees Celsius and how geoengineering is used to mask the true extent of planetary heating.
Earth may cross the key climate threshold of 1.5 Celsius in 2 years.
A headline like that is totally false, but not in the direction most people would like to believe. They've falsified data since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. So what we see, and this is obvious, anybody with their functioning sense of reason should be able to figure this out. When you draw a baseline across the middle of a graph, making half of the heat escalation below the baseline, that's simply lying. And that's what they've done. So they draw the baseline graph of pre-industrial heating halfway up the chart of heating. So you're hiding half of the heating below the baseline. Does that make sense? It's an absolute lie. So where are we right now? When they talk about 1.5 C of temperature rise, which again is about a little shy of 3 degrees Fahrenheit, we're, based on unfiltered frontline data, we're past 3.5 degrees C right now. So those headlines are all absolute lies. It's the same as, it's coming from the same sources, Polly, that say what we see in our skies is just condensation. Nothing to worry about. Go back to sleep. Just a conspiracy theory. Safe and effective medical treatment. Just a conspiracy theory. Go back to sleep. Same core of power that controls media, controls these statistics. So based on unfiltered frontline data, we are past 3.5 degree C right now. And that puts us in a position where we're past what science would say allows humans to live on this planet right now. And that doesn't mean we die instantly. It's like driving out into the middle of Sahara Desert in a motorhome with a refrigerator full of food and thinking you're going to be able to sustain yourself. You can't.
We love hearing from you at CHGTV. We always are going through your emails and, sending them to each other and discussing the pictures you're sending and, whatever comments you're making. So please continue doing so. You can reach out to us at goodmorning@chg.tv. Thank you so much for watching the Geoengineering Report, and we'll see you next time on CHGTV.
Some of this technology actually came out of the stealth program. Stealth was the idea that you would try to reduce the amount of radar energy that would be reflected off of an aircraft. You could put particles of metal into the paint itself. These particles would then absorb the energy. But if you put that up into the air and then you broadcast a signal that is tuned to the exact frequency that matches the size, and this is the key, all of these particles are the same exact size, so they respond to a specific frequency. So when you transmit this frequency, you can get all those particles to heat up. And if that mass of air has moisture in it, any kind of humidity at all, it all rises and expands. So this is how you can actually generate a weather system.
A primary aspect of climate engineering is the climate engineer's ability to manufacture winter weather with patented processes of chemical ice nucleation for weather modification. In doing so, they can seed cloud moisture with what is termed endothermic reacting elements, energy absorbing elements that create a cold, dense layer of air that sinks to the surface of the planet and creates a shallow layer of cold, perhaps a few hundred feet thick, that creates the illusion of winter weather on a planet that's in total meltdown. So the surface temperatures are in fact very cold, sometimes astoundingly cold, but it's a shallow surface layer, manufacturing winter weather events that are then sensationalized by corporate media, dividing the population, again, confusing them as to the true state of the planet and the true temperatures on planet Earth. They have focused oftentimes on particular regions, like in 2014 in Boston on the east coast of the US, creating snowstorm after snowstorm after snowstorm with chemically nucleated moisture and creating sensationalized headlines from that event
100 million Americans have been hit by a winter storm, packing pretty much everything in the weather arsenal.
And convincing much of the population that there was nothing wrong with the climate, that there was in fact record cold in some places, and thus in places where there was record warmth even during winter months, people tend to ignore that. As the planetary warming becomes a runaway event, the chemical ice nucleation elements that have been seeded into cloud moisture reach the surface before freezing. Thus, so-called frozen rain and ice storms are increasingly becoming the norm. How many know of the ice balls showing up on the shores of Lake Michigan, covering beaches, often 75 pounds or more, occurring at times on water that is 40 degrees plus Fahrenheit? How does that happen? From chemical ice nucleation. This is nothing short of winter weather warfare, complete with destructive ice accumulations from the chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding and dangerously slick, snow-like frozen material that contains surfactants. They're used in climate engineering chemical ice nucleation cloud seeding operations in order to reduce particle coagulation, i.e. to keep the climate engineering elements from sticking together and forming larger particulates that would sink faster to the planet, which would not be conducive to the winter weather warfare scenario. The cryosphere, Earth's ice deposits, are melting at a pace that is unprecedented in the geologic past. The true magnitude of the planetary meltdown has been masked by statistical falsification. The climate engineers have attempted to hide this fact from populations. In order to mask the true severity of polar meltdown from populations, the climate engineers have utilized methods of sea surface ice nucleation. The effect of these operations can easily be distinguished on satellite images. The paradox with sea surface ice nucleation is this. The climate engineers are actually putting a lid or a cap on oceans that are already too warm for natural ice nucleation to occur. In doing so, the climate engineers are, in effect, sealing the heat in the oceans, thus increasing the overall heating of the planet.